time to put their questions in the chat and answer them in person. So with that said, get started. No, it's not. There we go. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction of the issue. So what is natural gas? Natural gas is methane. Is anyone here learning that information for the first time today? Raise your hands that natural gas is methane. Yes, I asked because often we associate methane with things like animal agriculture, but it's also the main component of the natural gas we use in our homes and buildings. So methane is a powerful greenhouse gas. It has about 80 times the planet warming potential compared to carbon dioxide, CO2, and is responsible for about 30% of the rise in global temperatures thus far since the Industrial Revolution. And so this is what we use and we burn and what leaks into our homes and buildings that use gas. So when we burn methane, we produce a number of pollutants. This is some of them. And essentially, I want to talk about gas stoves in particular for a moment. Who here has a gas stove at home? Me too. And I also want to ask, who has ever heard that the blue flame on your burner indicates complete combustion, therefore you're safe from these pollutants, or that the blue flame is clean in some way? Has anyone ever heard of this? Right. So I'm here to tell you that unfortunately is gas industry propaganda. In fact, when we found in many studies that the amount of these pollutants exceeds safe levels set for outdoor air quality in homes with gas stoves. There we go. So this is gonna hopefully load a little better in a moment, but this is optical gas imaging footage, and you can kind of see this is it's not loading well, but there's a pot and there's this sort of, it looks like flames. That's what, this technology captures what we can't see when we cook with gas. So these are the pollutants escaping. And unfortunately, because gas stoves are the only gas appliance lacking uniform ventilation requirements, a lot of this, most of the time is not captured by your range hood in your kitchen. Most of them are not effective unless you have a really, really powerful advanced range hood. So most of what you see here is entering your home. That being said, even though they're not all effective, please always turn on ventilation when you're cooking, open windows, etc. So why do we care, right? It has been well documented that these pollutants are associated with a number of negative health outcomes, such as the increased risk of asthma and respiratory illness, for one. They can penetrate deep in your lungs and enter your bloodstream. Kiddos and older folks are more at risk. In fact, there's a study that found that children in homes with gas stoves have a 42% greater risk of developing asthma symptoms. So it's very concerning. And then also some of the volatile organic compounds that are released are carcinogens, such as benzene and formaldehyde, which are known to cause cancer. Benzene, for example, there's no safe level of exposure to it, and it's been found that a single burner can emit more benzene than from secondhand cigarette smoke. In fact, the list of pollutants I showed you earlier is remarkably similar to that released from tobacco products, minus a couple metals. And we have a graphic there. There should be a heart there, but as if cancer and lung health dangers wasn't enough, we also know that gas exposure to these pollutants over time increases risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease. particulate matter is always produced when we cook at various levels depending on what we're making, but much more when we're cooking with gas. So this is not a comprehensive overview of the negative health outcomes, just a brief summary. And if you're wondering if this is new information to you, or you're wondering how gas appliances have become so normalized, it is because the gas industry has used the tobacco industry's tactics for decades to suppress this information. Good news. We can mitigate or avoid these environmental and health impacts using electric appliances. So many of these electric appliances are highly energy efficient, which not only reduces their contribution to climate change, which also brings down the cost for the user because you're using less energy to operate at the same level. Just really briefly, heat pumps operate at 300% efficiency. We have induction stoves, which are not only highly efficient, but safer because there's less burn risk. There's no open flame. They're really easy to clean, and they cook just as well as gas stoves, despite what you may have heard. And then if we're talking about overall household electrification, switching to an electric vehicle really reduces that impact and is cheaper to own and operate in that lifetime. So with that quick overview, oh, it went back, didn't it? I'm going to hand it over to Brennan to talk about how we're implementing solutions in Bend.
Yeah. Also, thank you all for being here. Thank you for having us. Before I get into things, Larry, I heard you were voluntold rather to do this. So thank you for your compliance. And I don't think you got a shout out yet. So if everyone can give Larry a hand, make it today run smoothly. We had a dress rehearsal here on Friday, and are we still? We're one, maybe. Okay. This is working still?
It just kind of
It died. Necesito ayuda. Hola. Okay, am I working? Is this working? Great. But Sophia gave us some background on why this is important, not just for the climate, but to our health. I'm going to provide some context of what that looks like in Bend, and for our partners here tuned in from across the state, rather, where you might be looking for solutions in your own community. So, going to start by giving you 3 numbers to set this up. Number one, the 51% of Bend's emissions that come from buildings, right? Definition of a majority. The majority of our climate pollution in Bend comes from our building stock. Number 2, 80% of our housing stock is going up in the next 20 years, right? So it's already the biggest slice of the pie. We're going to about double how many homes are here. Number 3, right now, 95% of the houses that we build in Bend use fossil fuels as the primary heat source, right? So we're back. Oh, thank you, Larry. Everyone give Larry a hand again. Earth hero. Okay, I know it's a Christian Sabbath, but I'm going to do a little bit of work today, do a little bit of math quickly. 51% of our emissions from buildings, right? 80% of our buildings are going up in the next 20 years. Right now, we make 95% of them with fossil fuels. That maths out to not great. Currently in Bend, we are on track to increase our emissions by 40% by 2030. If anybody's heard of our community climate action plan, the goal that City Council set for Bend is for us to decrease emissions by 40% by 2030. So to quote J. Cole, we're coming a long way and we're going the wrong way. Yeah? Insert Energize Bend. I am fortunate enough to be the campaign coordinator with Energize Bend. We're a climate justice group that started a few years ago, recognizing that this is an opportunity area. If you have not been paying attention to the federal government as of late, they're not super keen on doing anything about climate. They're more on this clean coal and let's invade foreign countries for oil agenda right now. So local government, cities and counties, that is where we have the opportunity to do something to move the right direction. And we are seeing that despite having a council with 7 Democrats right now, we're not headed in the right direction. So we're pushing a relatively simple theory right now of what we can do, which is stop putting the natural gas into new buildings, right? Easiest way you can get out of a hole is to stop digging it. How we do that, we are hoping to become the second city in Oregon to pass a climate impact fee. So if anyone's tuned in from Ashland, thank you for helping get that over the finish line. We have a final vote coming up on June 3rd, which John and I will talk about a little more later, but I hope you can make it. I'm going to give just like real high level overview of what this policy is, why we think it's an important idea that we get over the finish line and at least try it in Bend. So it is a fee based on fossil fuel emissions from appliances and new homes. The amount of the fee is directly tied to how much fossil fuels that appliance is going to use. So space and water heater, for example, those are big appliances, use lots of fossil fuels, bigger fee. Gas stove uses less fossil fuels, smaller fee. Maximum fee level this could come out to is about $2,000, which is relatively modest. I think the median home price in Bend is around $700,000 last time I checked. The intent of the policy and why we think it is a good idea. Number one, it is just a common market-based tool that we can use to account for the very real costs of climate change. We're gonna have multiple days this summer that are gonna be 250 AQI. When there's 250 AQI outside and my roommate is trying to work at a food cart, there's nobody there to tip her for selling them beer. That's not money she's going to make back. And we have just considered that an externality for the entire existence of capitalism, all of that environmental degradation we're creating. This is a modest first step towards just recognizing that when we burn fossil fuels, when we make climate pollution, that is disproportionately hurting people that work in tourism, in hospitality, and that is disproportionately younger people, poorer people, and browner people. Second thing, this still preserves consumer choice. So if you really want your gas stove, you can get your gas stove in your new house. You just have to pay extra because we're recognizing when you choose to burn fossil fuels and you have a safe alternative, you are creating costs for other people and you're paying into that now. Last is that it's flexible. Council is going to check this policy every year. So if it is having an adverse outcome, that's fine. We can change something. We can tweak it. This is not set in stone. And also what I'm more hopeful for, I think we can go further because the fee that Ashland set is about $10,000 per home, which is 5 times more than what we're doing in Bend. Some helpful background facts. Number 1 and 2, and this is true in Bend. I'm fairly confident it's true across the state. The vast majority of affordable housing is made all electric already, especially if you have an all electric house with solar panels, you effectively do not have energy bills. That is the cheapest way that you can live in a house, right? So cost of ownership, when we go all electric, when we switch to clean energy, that insulates us from things like invading a foreign country and disrupting the entire global fossil fuel market. Number 3, right? This is a small avoidable voluntary fee. If it comes out to about 1 latte per month on your 30-year mortgage, if you paid the entire fee, right? Like this is not what's breaking the back on cost of living. And number 4, this is literally the only way we have to decarbonize buildings. My background's in chemical engineering. I worked in the gas industry before this. Like there might be a place for renewable natural gas and hydrogen. It is almost certainly not your kitchen. 3 more relevant facts. And if people have paid attention to what's happening in LaPine right now, I think this is a really good example. We are in a power crisis right now. The solution is not to delay getting clean energy into our lives. The solution is to push back on Meta, who's laying off like 60-something people in Prineville, on the Bitcoin miner from San Diego trying to make a data center in LaPine. One small data center, 20 megawatts is what's proposed in LaPine, uses the equivalent amount of power as 100,000 heat pumps. So we just press the brakes on some data center developers. That clears up all of the headspace we need for clean energy. Number 2, here in Central Oregon, we have about the dirtiest grid in the state, 60% fossil fuels from Pacific Power. Even then, it has fewer emissions than using gas in your house. And this is the dirtiest the grid is going to be. You literally cannot build a gas-fired power plant in Oregon A, because it's like a 10-year lead time to get a gas turbine, but B, it is actually illegal to build a new gas-fired power plant in Oregon. Number 3, and this is more relevant for our central and eastern Oregon folks, people in Valley probably don't have to worry about this. Heat pumps, especially ductless models, work down to like negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. So like this is a resilient solution. It works in any climate. There's a reason heat pumps are being installed in Alaska and Maine, which have more extreme climates than in Oregon. So like the technology's ready. We have the solutions, and also we have to do it because there really isn't a credible alternative. And then we're going to pivot to some solutions. And number 1, I would highly recommend, if you have not heard of Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, she's climate scientist, feminist, author. She ran a program in Biden administrations called the Blue New Deal, but she's fantastic. And she came up with this theory called your climate Venn diagram. Basically just says, find what you like doing, what you're good at, what needs to get done. Wherever that intersection is, just spend as much time in it as possible. Like we're probably never gonna get everything right. So what is most important is like finding something that you really like doing. Because at the end of the day, like you cannot be having an unsustainable relationship to trying to help move forward the mission of climate justice, right? If you are burning yourself out rather, you are not helping the movement, you are not helping your community. And also you're probably going to be less pleasant to be around if you're unhappy. So like find something you like doing. There's something out there, be creative with it. And one last note for me before I kick it back to Sophia. If you don't know what's happening in community, if you don't have something you're excited about that you're ready to hop into, or at least try pitching something new, reach out to us. We're happy to provide support. We have folks that we're connected with across the state, or if you are in a different city and you're like compelled by this climate impact fee idea, we're happy to talk shop and like get you sent on your way with the basics of what you need to do. Sophia?
I'm back. Okay, so in your home, you can switch your gas appliances for electric ones. If you want help doing that, I recommend reaching out to Electrify Oregon and meeting up with an energy coach who will help you through that process wherever you are in that process. And maybe you want to become an energy coach and learn how to help people do that yourself. If you feel inspired by this presentation and want to spread the word, we want to help you. So if you email us at team@stopgas.org, we can send you these presentation slides, a digital copy, and also a digital copy of our informational trifold handout. So that's one way we can help. We also, if you want to go a little further, we have a tabling kit. So I've been using this with great success. First, we have a device. We wanted to have an interactive approach to tabling at events to help with engagement. So we have the footage I showed you earlier, a longer compilation rather, playing on a loop, and that in and of itself is very compelling. We get a lot of people interested in wanting to talk to us. And then I didn't want to share the dangers of gas cooking without offering a solution, an alternative. So we have a countertop induction range that we use to cook for people. And I made some crepes, as you can imagine. It's a great draw. I was making them as fast as I could for hours at the past Earth Day event and just talking to people about what we've been talking about today. And it includes, it's a la carte. So if there's anything you need, like a power station to charge the induction range, an extension cord, a stipend for cooking supplies, it's all there, and you can order any part of it you want if you want to do that and spread the word. I really like the mini induction demonstration because it's a technology that not everyone knows how it works, and it's quite affordable. So a lot of people were interested in it. I like to think of it as a gateway technology to electrification.
Also, for Ben folks, Central Library of Things, has an induction cooktop that you can check out. So I'd highly recommend that.
Brand new. And so, yeah, if you want to order it, you can use that QR code there. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much. Questions? Not seeing questions. Oh, yeah.
I just want, I say something.
Absolutely.
Oh, I just want to give a shout out to you guys. Oh, sorry. I'm not trying to hijack this. I just want to commend Sophia and Brennan and everybody else that is involved in this effort. I talked about really powerful forces that I have come into contact with, both human and the forces that drive our climate naturally. This group and these folks are up against incredibly powerful financial forces propped up by the fossil fuel industry and the natural gas industry. As someone who has been accused of taking climate dark money in my campaign, I can tell you how much fossil fuel dark money and overt fossil fuel money is being poured into the campaign against this thing. The robocalls that you may be receiving, live calls that you may be receiving, I have received those myself. It is serious, deep propaganda, and I just want to commend them, and I would ask that you all really aggressively push back if you hear people kind of spouting the propaganda that the fossil fuel industry and the natural gas industry is putting out, try to counter this. Please push back on that. So thanks, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Jamie. And another important note, if anybody does find climate dark money, please send it my way. Insurance. Don't show up for healthcare, we're good for all, because that would be fantastic. We all just had universal access to insurance.
Oh, great.
Question is, a few years back, the push was to change the gas to be cleaner. So what has changed? So this is from, again, my background's chemical engineering. I worked in the renewable natural gas industry for 4 years. The realistic, they're just the reality of renewable natural gas and low carbon fuels, as they call it in the industry, is that there is not enough and it's too expensive. So best case scenario, we have enough renewable natural gas to displace 5 to 10% of our current natural gas use. So the other 80, 85, 90%, there's no answer for it. There's no way that we displace all of that gas demand with things that come from landfills or come from wastewater agriculture. Other thing is, it costs 5 times as much per unit of gas to extract it from a renewable source compared to fracking it out of the ground. So if we just think about how do we address cost of living and clean energy at the same time, the cost of solar continues to decrease. Like that is the cheap option. That is the affordable option. Northwest Natural has pulled back a ton of their investments on hydrogen and RNG in the last year because they are not cost effective. So it is market pressure alone. If there's just not a case you can make for low carbon fuels. So hence push to all electric. And Dave, do you have a question?
I was just gonna ask, what's a way locally that you can get involved in pushing for the climate impact fee?
Dude, that's such a good question. We're gonna get into that for local folks, so I'm gonna table for now. Yeah. For people here in Central Oregon, don't leave. Another one, after years and weeks, we got rid of gas. The gas company wants to charge us $5,000 to remove the pipe from our property. It's better just not to get the pipes in the first place, in my opinion. Not a question, but I completely agree with that sentiment. And yeah, it is absurd. And also it is so proven, right? That's why we're going after new housing first. Build smart from the start. It is expensive and it is really hard to get gas out after. Especially when that is a true story that I've heard from multiple people, just to like get the meter removed and plug the pipe. They will charge you out the word I should not say in church. You can do that. Any other questions? All right. I think we're around. So you all set? Well, thank you all.